Bambalege, bambalege, alayala bambodae. Sukurumono banja, yuyambero banja, lemona de cabane banja.
We're here to conduct this oversight visit as part of our oversight functions in the National Assembly, inspecting institutions and premises under the purview of the Ministry of Youth and Sports and Ministry of Tourism and Culture. To begin the discussion, we'll do so by introducing ourselves, and then we allow the custodian of the premises to introduce himself. My humble self, I'm Alhaji Asdabo, the chairperson of the Select Committee.
I am Honorable Babagale Jallo, member of the committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Honorable Hussein Sise, a member to this committee.
And I'm Honorable Dauda Kausu Jawara, Vice Chair to the committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Honorable Lamin FM Konta, Chair, member of the committee.
I am Honorable Asan Ture, member to the committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Honorable Mamadou Kamara, rapporteur to the committee.
I am Honorable Mohamed Ndaw, member of the committee.
My name is Sheikh Tijan Yang. I am the subject matter specialist.
I am Aissatou Sonko, secretary to the committee.
As the Select Committee overseeing this particular ministry, which this site is part of, to conduct oversight, and to do so sometimes it will require us to invite personnel or officials from the ministry, or we go to the sites and then see things for ourselves, interact with the people on the ground so that we can get the first-hand information. In trying to do so, we'll do it in two ways. We'll allow you to give us explanation regarding how this site is, the way it is run and managed, and then if any you have constraints, then you can also inform us. Our intention is to see that our culture is preserved. We promote our cultural heritage sites in order to promote tourism, because this is very important as far as the promotion of tourism is concerned. So we are here first, you give us the first-hand information, everything that you know about these sites, and then if you have any constraints that you feel should be addressed, be very open to give us. Then after that, if we have any other issue, there will be question and answer session as well. So first you give us explanation, and then lastly we'll have room for question and answers. Thank you.
Happy to receive you here. I am Ibrahim Mbala, the site attendant at Fort Bullen. My first problem is since in the morning, nobody is coming here. Since in the morning, no tourists, no visitors here. So that's our main problem here, because Kunta Kinte Island, people are going to Kunta Kinte Island, and you cannot know Kunta Kinte Island, you don't know this fort. They are rarely interconnected. Kunta Kinte Island is the first place to visit, but if you don't, if you go to Kunta Kinte Island, you don't come to Fort Bullen. Still now your information is left, because that place was built to keep slave. This is built to stop slavery. So they are rarely interconnected. I'm just complaining every time, because even the tour operators, many tourists, they take tourists to the Kunta Kinte Island, they don't bring them here. I think maybe a lot of money they spend Kunta Kinte Island. This is why they don't come here. And some of the tourists, when they come here, they complain about, because from the hotel to Fort Bullen, you pay less than $100 or $50, and you know the information. And sometimes I sit here, more than 23 years I'm here. I sit here the whole day, nobody is coming here. and I'm living in Banjul. So I used to go like that. So that's our main problem. And even also the plastering, because the fort was working before 2007, before 2007, 2008, the fort was working, but nothing was here. Even the museum was here, not here. You see only the standing building. But when the soldiers take over the fort, 2007, 2008, now the place is dull. Even the state of emergency, December, the place is not working still now. There is a museum, we are trying to market the place, but still now it's not working like Kunta Kinte Island. And even the plastering, the soldiers have complained the plastering. I was just talking to my director last time. If you go outside, I'm the one who removed from the plastering last time, just to show the people that this is the original structure of the fort. Because you cannot plaster a wall monument. If you plaster the fort, you are destroying the image of the site. So this is why I'm trying to remove the plastering outside and tend to bring the original structure of the fort. That's my problem here. And also the sea defense, the sea erosion is coming here. That's our main problem. But the main point is the plastering have to be removed, and we have to market the place. We have to market the place, just like Kunta Kinte Island. That's our main problems here. Also, even there is no water also, because when I have a school excursion, sometimes I used to go to up to the terminal and get water there, because the students, they came here, they don't have water. So that's another problem here, because we have a toilet, there is no water there. You have to go to the well and fetch water to take it to the toilet. When I have these two operators also, you know, those people, they come a large group. So, and it's all inclusive. So I have to go to the toilet, I have to go to the well and get water, use it to the well.
Okay.
It was named after the commander called Charles Bullen. That's why the fort is named Fort Bullen. Yeah, but this fort was not built to keep slaves. The fort is an anti-slave fort. It was built just to stop the slave trade. But that decision came from the Chief Justice of England. But the people who fight against the slavery, those are the three politicians for the abolition of the slavery. That was Wilberforce, Thomas Clarkson, Granville Isab. But before that, the British started export the slave in the Gambia 1600. 1807, they were trying to stop it. But because of that time, the slave trade was one of the most profitable business between West Africa and American. There are some Europeans, they don't agree with the British bill. It was the Portuguese, French, Spanish, American, and also the Dutch. And when they are coming with a slave ship, they have to pass through the mouth of the river Gambia. But before they settle here, they were the other island called James Island. Now they changed it to Kunta Kinte Island in 2011. James Island was purposely built for the slave, because James Island was found in 1456. So around that time, when they catch any slave from this country, they take them to the island called James Island. But that time, the British Royal Navy, they are a very powerful navy, so they're working hard to stop the slave trade. But James Island is a less strategic point. One of the British captains was called Alexander Grant. Then he told them Banyan Island at the mouth of the river Gambia is the most strategic place to locate a fort and to stop slaves coming to the river. So later, James Island was stopped 1815. 1816, they found Banjul, because the occupation of Banjul was born out of the British war against the slave trade. So when they found the capital 1816, they built a 6 cannon at the State House so that just to intercept the slave traffickers. But what they want cannot be possible, because the range of the cannonball win the bullet. When they fire from Banjul to control the river mouth, the ball will only reach half of the mile sea. Then you will see the enemy, they will easily come close to this north bank, escape with their slave ship. This is why Fort Bullen was built, so that you will see the gun, they will complement both sides of the river mouth. Without these two military positions, the British cannot stop slaves in the Gambia. There are many forts in the West African coast, but Fort Bullen is the only one in West Africa built by the British to stop slave trade. America, the trade of slaves, was in 1865, but Gambia was after building the two military positions. The total number of slaves Taking to whole West Africa, what they estimate is between 10 to 15 million slaves. The annual number was 20,000. After the American, they get it slave through the Spanish. Because the slave trade in Gambia is over 400 years. The Portuguese, they started here 1456. The British started here 1600. 1807, they were trying to stop it. But if you look at those miserable men and women and how they packed those slaves into the slave ship, many of the slaves, they died on the way before the slave ship arrived in the New World called America. Most of the slaves, they were captured in a war and later brought by a right man in the market. The town and village they are destroying. African lost 100,000 men and women every year. That is why several African kingdoms, they went to war against each other simply to win more slaves and sell them to the European. That's called the triangular slave trade. So that's what started in the 1600s. Because when the European came to Europe, they bring a European good. That's gunpowder, clothes, mirror, wine, exchange with a human being. That human being take it to America. From there, they get their plantation, sugar, tobacco. They take it back to their own country. The slave trade are keeping the slave always fasting. While they are waiting the slave ship, they were put them in a danger because in their cages no light, little food or little water just to keep them alive. So when the slave ship arrived, the slave, how they are packing the slave, no space because they're packing like a sardine. So 1,000 of slaves, they die on the way. If you die or if you're sick, they throw you from the water. Because in the earlier days, the slave, they have no right. They are belonging to their master. They are just like a domestic animal. You can kill your slave. Anything you want to do for a slave, you can do it. The Portuguese traders came to Africa to get slaves, take it back to their own country for their domestic work. Because at that time, they found the man and woman in Africa, they are very strong. And the red Indian in America, they are not enough strong to undertake it such hard work. So when the European need a slave to America, they choose the people from Africa. There was a war here in this village because the village is called Bara in 1831 between England and the local people here because the king of Bara was called Brunei Sonko. So Brunei Sonko was crowned king 1823. 1826, he gave the land to the British. It was a one-seated mile with straight of land. And he was assuring that any ship coming from the river, annually they have to pay the tax. The tax was $400. But more information is inside about the Bara War. Islam came here very lately. Before there was a jihad war. During the Soninke Marabo War, Fort Bullen was served as a camp for refugees. First time, 20 soldiers was manning the fort. During the Muslim attack, Esau is the next village. Esau was the former capital of North Bank. The British there had some 230 soldiers. But that time, you have some building outside. World War II was 1939 to 1945. Fort Bullen is renovated again by the British Army to protect against a possible attack from the French at Vichy government, which was controlling Senegal. Senegal is surrounded this country by three sides except the river. So during the World War II, the British came here, they modified the cannon with the ammunition magazine. In case of any attack from Senegal, they will also respond. But afterward, there was no fighting. They just modified the place in case of any attack. And the Gambian soldier was also trained here to go to the Burma War. Because in the Gambia, the colonial fort we have here, only three. Fort Bullen is the only fort they built to stop slavery because Fort Bullen is a very good location. It's a strategic location. From Banjul to State House is the mouth of the river Gambia. This is the Atlantic Ocean. Any ship coming, going, when they build State House, they build Fort Bullen, they block the road. The other one is called Fort James. Now they changed it to Kunta Kinte Island in 2011. That one was built to keep slaves. There is another fort in Banjul different with the cannon at the State House. That one is called Fort Lebel. Fort Lebel was built in 1831 because of the Bara War here. The British, they built that fort to fight with the king. So if you look at from 1821 to 1888, Gambia and Freetown was a one governor. So they captured over 5 slaves. If they captured here, they bring them here. Later they send them to the Freetown. They will be free. So they will have their new settlement. So it was just a brief explanation about the fort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Museum, if you can write it and then put it in the museum, not only the narration. Sometimes, I'm not saying we don't have historians, but the way and manner you do this chronologically is admiring. So if you can have the events written and then paste them on the museum. Even where a student comes, they can also go through and then try to get the whole thing that we have been narrating. And if you are not here also, we will not lose that side of the history. So that's another thing that can attract the museum. This
I want to just add it, because people have to visit Fort Bullen. Fort Bullen and Kunta Kinte Island, they are interconnected. You cannot know James Island, you don't know this fort. If you visit James Island, you don't visit Fort Bullen, it means your information is left. Because a lot of tourists, they go to Kunta Kinte Island, they don't bring them here. And it's very easy to come to Fort Bullen. If you don't know Fort Bullen, then your information is still left. So you have to visit, either you visit James Island, then you end it at Fort Bullen. So that you will have the whole information about the slavery.
I think in question and answers, that will be the first question that I will put to you. If you said Fort Bullen and James Island are interconnected, what made them to be interconnected, or what makes them to be interconnected?
Because James Island was purposely built to keep slaves. But when the British want to stop slavery, and already slavery have already stopped. So if you want to, when the British want to stop slavery, this is why Kunta Kinte Island was stopped. They built the State House. But still now, the guns at State House cannot come to Fort Bullen. They will build Fort Bullen. So if you go to Kunta Kinte Island, you don't come to the fort. You still now, your information identity is still less. Because that place was built to keep slave. This is built to free slave. So that's why Odole they are really interconnected.
For that long narration or explanation of the importance of this fort, our purpose for coming here today is more not to do with the historical facts, but how to actually sell these historical facts. What constraints do you face in selling these historical facts now because of the fort? Because you did mention here earlier that since morning you haven't had one visitor. Now that is the kind of issues we want to know, and what your take is on how we can remedy and make sure that this fort is as accessible and known to the same market as the James Island or the Kunta Kinte Island is. Because you mentioned that Kunta Kinte Island is more frequently visited by tourists and local people than this fort. But given the strategic inception of this fort is equally key, I agree. But what constraints are you facing? You said you had water problems here. Guests coming here cannot have access to decent or toilets or stuff like that. What do you think the government of the day or the ministry needs to do to make sure that this fort is as visible and as sellable as possible to complement our as part of our products as for selling the destination Gambia? What do you think we can do?
Okay, I think that we need to talk to the tour operators. We have a ground tour operator, we have air tour operators, and we have also these people. If you want to sell here, you have to go to the tour operator, either ground tour operator or air tour operator, and you have to go to the reps. Because the tour operators, they are the people who market this place. Because they get like this individual, like official tourist guy, they don't market here because they came here with 2 tourists, 3 tourists. But the tour operator, they come with a larger group. So we contact the tour operator and the air tour operator, the place will be marketed, especially the English people, because a lot of British people, they want to see the sport, but they don't know it. Because a lot of tourists are complaining that they came here more than 10 times. They never heard about Fort Bullen. They only heard about Kunta Kinte Island and Fatala. And the Fatala tourists, the Gambian tourists are marketing that place. Why this place they did not market it?
My second question will be, fine, I heard you very well, that we need to see how to include Fort Bullen as part of the general package that tour operators would sell to tourists. Now, from a legal point of a legislative point of view, what do you think this National Assembly Select Committee can do in terms of making sure that we make the right mechanisms in place now to be able to sell this fort. What do you think? Because you are under NCAC, what do you think? In the NCAC Act or the GT Board Act, that we need to do to make sure that this place is sellable, or if not, there is a subsidy for every ticket that is sold to tourists now visiting the Gambia for the upkeep of this place. So, what is your take on that? If you might share your views.
Okay, sorry, just to market the place, I think we need a brochure also. We need some brochure because last time our office was having a brochure last year, but this year we don't have brochure. So if you have brochure, then you can just give it to the tourists. And even also the radio program, even without this, the tourists, the place have to use by the students, because I used to have a lot of student excursion since since the museum was here. I'm still now, I have a lot of students. So for excursion, and many students, they don't know it. Many students also, they go to Kunta Kinte Island, but they don't know that there is a museum here and there is this information is here. So when we provide a brochure also, I think that will be better. Then we make a radio program also.
What are some of the structures that we are not here in 1826? Maybe there are some that are added here.
1820, this ammunition store was modified during the World War II with the anti-aircraft gun. Okay, and then you have the officers' quarter was the original. I think we will take a round tour, and the guard room also is the original, but the officers' kitchen is a new one, and this building was also is a new one because it was the soldiers who made this building here, and also the former government, and because the former government they plastered this fort. And during those plastering, they make this building here. Our office just renovated.
But the soldiers were camped here.
Yeah, they come here. 2007, 2008. That time nobody was here, and they even dig the place. Yeah, because they are searching for gold. Yeah, they dig that place also. I said that place was digged by the soldier because they said that they are searching the diamond because nobody was here. Even me, I was not here that time.
That was 2007.
2007, 2008, that's 2 years. State of emergency, December also they came back here. We will take a round to the city, sir.
Just a comment, because you had specifically said that this monument is different from James Island, and it's also different from other West African castles. And what I want you to back up your information is to link it with the people who fought to abolish for the abolition of slavery. You know of Thomas Clarkson, William Wilberforce, Granville Shark. These are people who fought and they contributed towards the establishment of this treaty. If you can back that up in your narration each time you explain to tourists, because it helps, so that they know that these people were the ones who fought for the abolition of slavery. Thank you.
According to what I understand from your explanation, you've indicated that the tour operators sell Kunta Kinte Island more than Fort Bulen. What do you think is the secret behind this, since they are all historical areas?
I think they make a lot of money for that. Because if you take tourists from your hotel to Fort Bulen, maybe they charge tourists £100. If you go to Kunta Kinte Island, maybe £200. You go to Fatala, maybe £300. So I think that is why they are selling the faraway places, dinner at Fort Bulen. Even this official tourist guide, they also the same thing.
So it means they have no interest in this thing?
Yeah, maybe they will have interest, but they are put but the money. They are just looking for the money. That's what I'm doing. Because history is one. That's why you cannot know the Kunta Kinte Island. You don't know this. If you think that you just come for the history, you should visit the tourists. You should come to the Fort Bulen and go to Kunta Kinte Island, so that you cover your information about the slavery. But I think because of money, this is why they take tourists to Kunta Kinte Island, Georgetown, Fatala. So they left Fort Bulen.
Mr. Mbalo, as you have just indicated in your narrations or your explanations, with regards to the sea erosion, because I think it's an imminent danger towards the Bullen. But I want to ask if there are any remedial measures that has been taking place, or if the government is aware of the situation, and what are the measures that have been taking place in order to avert this very important situation. Thank you.
I think for that information, I think last time one lady from American Embassy he was here, and we went to the site for the sea defense. Even the minister was there. I think maybe they are going to sponsor for the sea defense, and we make the sea defense, because they already measured already. But I think the money is not yet. But that's why. Because sea defense is very important. If you don't defend the sea, the fort will go. Yeah. Because last time in 2012, we already mount on the other side. But this side, after we'll take a round tour, I will show you that place.
Which minister?
Tourism.
Which minister?
Ahmad Ba was here just last month.
Mr. Mbalo, I'm definitely impressed about you when you were, talking about the history of Fort Blend. But I would be very much happy if you can please write it in a form of book, so that whoever comes, you can just pass him that book, so that he will have more understanding about it. Now, the other question that I would like to ask, you mentioned that since in the morning you are sitting down here, you don't see any visitors. Does that have any impact on your, on your welfare? Thank you.
Sorry, I don't like that, because normally, if at all, even this how to call it, the tourists, even the student, because when I sit here from morning to 6 o'clock, I close the fort. Nobody is coming here. I just go like back, Banjul like that. So I don't want it. I don't. People are going to Kunta Kinte Island. They should also come here like that. Even the schools, because without even the payment, the place is very important for the schools. You learn the history of Fort Bullen.
Is it private or is under the National Center for Arts and Culture? And if so, are you a staff of the National Center?
I'm a staff of the National Center for Arts and Culture. Since 1998, I'm working here. So we have a National Center for Arts and Culture.
Since 1998?
Yeah, 98, I'm here.
Okay, you want to
Any other question?
Yes. My brother, thank you very much. I think as the chair, as said here, is on the National Sports Council. National Center for Arts and Culture. Okay. Are you the only staff here?
We are 3 in number now. There's a lady they employ here from Bara.
Only 2 staffs here?
No, we are 3 with the security. We are 3 in number. I am the attendant, then I have my assistant and the security. So we are 3 in number.
So how do they maintain here? Do they have a special budget every year that to maintain here and to pay the staff?
The place is very dull. It's very dull sometimes.
So the national...
Our salaries are here. We cannot have it because the place is not working.
So sometimes they don't pay you, or it is late?
They pay me.
But it's late sometimes?
They pay my transport allowance. But the money we are getting here, that money cannot pay even my salary sometimes.
Okay. So you...
Yeah, the visitors they are paying, because non-Gambian they pay $100. The ticket. Gambian adult they are paying $30. Then school children they are paying $10. That's why I go to England. Slavery was stopped there 1807. Okay, then over 150,000 slaves have been free in West Africa. When you come to Gambia, it was stopped 1826. So you go to America, slavery was stopped there 1865. Then Mauritanian they are the last 1981. But Mauritanian slave is called domestic slave. Slave they don't go out. They only stay in Mauritania. So Fort Bullen was named after the man called Charles Bullen. That's why the fort is named Fort Bullen. Charles Bullen, he was a commodore. He was a man of war, and he made intimidation exercise, carried 2 cannon to Bara and look at family position. And he was also sending men on behalf of Afro-National fighting. So now the place is under UNESCO in 2014.
So should, your wish is to have this fort restored to this original.
Yeah, because these are the stones. These are the collateralized stones. They collected from the island called Dove Island. So that time they don't have cement. They use missile from the Oyster Sea. Right now, if you plaster here, then you will not see the original structure of the side. So you have to remove all the original structure and leave this.
Okay, but is any part of the fort demolished by nature, like or erosion or anything like that?
No, this was just destroyed by the soldier.
Everything else was intact.
Going back. But look at the ball. If you fire, because it's very heavy, if you fire the ball, you hit only half of the man. The enemy can easily come this side, escape with their slaves. This is why Fort Bullen was big, so that they will complement the gas. The other ball, this is from World War II, but I told you Gambia they are not fighting. They just modify the place in case of any attack. This one has a hole, but the other one doesn't have hole. Because why? You have to put a gunpowder here. So when you hit the target, the powder will be exploded. That's why you have this one has a hole, the other one has no hole. Then this one is the British Royal Ireland Wales. You see? Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales. If you want to read it both French, English, J.M. Montois, English, God and my right. So you get this one from the British Royal Navy. Okay, those are the people who were fighting for the abolition of from England. Thomas Closton from England, Granville Sharp from England. He is the founder of Freetown because he was helping the slaves to go back to their own country. Harriet Thomas from America, very powerful lady, because this lady, she played a big role when slavery was stopped, because she was having the underground tunnel from America to Canada. All the slaves, they escaped through that tunnel to Canada, they will be free. So Obama was trying to put the American new $20, this picture should be there. And even there is a movie about Harriet Thomas, because he played a big role when slavery was stopped. Okay, then this is triangular state. Triangular state, because this is Europe. The European coming to Europe, they bring European food. For Africa, they get African food. This is Korea in Senegal. America, guy, if you sick, they throw it from the water. Then you have the interior part in the slave. There's a 3 billion, 16 million. This is the slave world market day, because this is Gambian University slave on Tuesday, 7th of June. 35 days was spent in the boat before they arrived in America. The River Gambia is the most navigable river in West Africa because it's very close to European coastal area. Okay, slave also, when they arrive in America, there will be a selection because they know that Gambia and Senegal, they can do farming. They take them to the plantation. So Nigerian people, those people, they are very big, they have power to build houses. They take them to the construction site. Even the Congolese people, they also do their well. European, they know every country how you can work. So their primary age was between 20 to 40 years. Because 20 to 40 years, that time you are very strong. Later they allow children. 35 from Gambia to America. But the other country, they spend more than 35 days. But Gambia River is the most navigable river in West Africa, because very close to European coastal area. There's another king of Banyu was called Tumani Buddha. But because of this canon at the state of cannot reach to Fort Bullen, they come and say Brunei and Songo. So they signed the Syrian mark, all this territory is an area to Brunei and Songo. So this is their settlement. So this is a family compound. That's the head of the compound. Then you have senior wife. Senior wife is the fourth wife, because some people they have 4 wives. 1 wife, 1 problem, 4 wives, 4 problems. Bachelor's quarter, cookers and kitchen. The barriers they make here, when you come to the compound, you must make the hair before you reach inside. So that's why they make the barrier. With the European. So their skin is very light, like a European skin. They copy a European style because their language is a European language. Even their food, and they always dress a long dress. They always like pipe for smoking. And lantern during the Christmas time, they make a decoration for their house. The light skin is called navigation light. Navigation light is a signal light for the ship, because any ships are coming from the river. When they see the red light, they will know that the place is a dangerous place. No. How was it? They use gas first, they use gas. They use gas. And later they use solar panel. But this one is going to be and that time, the blood is inside is a living for Oregon. So that's the transfer ticket. So all this gone, when slavery was stopped, all the gone, they put it down.
No, what I'm saying is whether it has been existing, formerly existing.
And there was a flood in the city, that's called Batos Flood. That was in 1947. So many people they died in the flood. Yeah, that was the ammunition. You know what? Yeah, we'll enter. This place was filled up after the World War II, but the former government, they just removed all these things because I think they are serving for diamonds. That's why they removed all these things.
No, Tata. Ah.
Anti-anthrax, but this was fixed here during the World War II. So here is the mouth of the river Gambia. That food is very good for the stomach. People use it if you want to make the local ice. They are both baba, but this one is the famous one. But this one is
National Assembly Select Committee on Tourism, Arts, Culture, Youth and Sports is a committee that is responsible for all the matters relating to these said areas that I do mention, specifically under these two ministries, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture and then Youth and Sports. The visit is part of our oversight functions to visit institutions or agencies under these said agencies under these two ministries. Earlier on, we did the first leg of the tour that covered places in the South Bank, and today we commence the second leg of the tour covering important sites in North Bank, and we have identified this particular lodge to be one of the places supposed to be visited, taking into consideration the aspect of tourism. And then we are here to do site inspection in two ways. First, we will allow you to give us the background information about the lodge, the operation constraints, and what are your aims and objectives in trying to promote tourism industry. And then having done that, we'll also be putting some questions to you. There will be a question and answers session, and that will be followed by the site inspection. If you will not mind to take us on conducted tour of the premises to see facilities for ourselves. Seeing is believing. We want first-hand information regarding everything, not only what you just narrate to us, but we want to see